Coming up tonight on News 7.
Another water main break in St. Johnsbury. Find out who was affected.
And sap is finally flowing here in the kingdom.
To a good season. Pure maple syrup.
And here at the Concord School, students are getting ready to put on their first ever musical. That story and more coming up tonight. News 7 starts right now!
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Crews work to repair broken water mains in St. Johnsbury today. Good evening, I'm Dan Weiner.
And I'm Julianne Walshaw. Yeah, DPW workers say the frost heaves don't help the already troubled situation with the water pipes in town. Crews spent the morning on Caledonia Street getting the water out of a hole they had to dig up. Then they had to repair the broken main. Water was shut off for houses in sections between Lafayette Street and Costa Avenue. Things were wrapped up and back to normal this afternoon.
The bus driver strike in the Burlington area is finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. The Chittenden County Transportation Authority agreed to a contract to end the 2-week-long strike by a vote of 53-6. CCTA spokesman Meredith Burkett announced that the deal was struck earlier today. This was the first strike for the CCTA in 40 years of operation, and it is expected to formally end Thursday when the contract is ratified by its members.
And it's taken a couple of extra weeks, but the weather is finally right and sugar makers can tap the trees for sap. Tyler Dumont stopped by and spoke with a St. Johnsbury man doing just that today.
The sap is finally flowing.
We brought in 7,400 gallons up to today. So, and I just brought in another 300 and starting to run today. So, just getting going.
Jeff Goodwin has maple sugaring in his blood. Passed down for 4 generations, he now owns the family maple sugaring business in St. Johnsbury.
Good quality stuff, but it's late. We're a month behind.
A carpenter in the off-season, he built the sugar house just off Interstate 91.
I guess you could say I got the world's largest sap spout.
He has state-of-the-art equipment and a whole system in place.
We're separating water and sugar. And we'll be collecting it up into the 750-gallon tank up there. So then this afternoon, when I have a good charge of sap up there, then we start up the evaporator.
It's the real deal.
So as it goes through that and gets to the front, you're getting closer and closer to syrup.
So where does your syrup go?
Where does it go? All over the world.
And getting it across the world depends on cooperative weather. But Goodwin has another gray sky over his head this week. He's just one of many sugar makers upset over a recent image published in Rolling Stone magazine.
But instead of, they took this out and they put a sugar maker sitting on a stump shooting heroin. And extremely bad. That was bad for the industry. You know, it makes it look like sugar makers are heroin users, and that's not the case whatsoever.
Goodwin says it was a cheap shot.
What we do, what takes us years to create, took them, minutes to tear down.
But the controversy doesn't blind him from the work that needs to be done. For Goodwin, it's all about perfecting the sugary goodness.
If you put out a bad product, you're not going to get your customers to come back. So it's that simple. You do a good job, and your customers will take care of you.
Goodwin says he's on track to producing his season target, over 800 gallons. Tyler Dumont, News 7 in St. Johnsbury.
Goodwin says his son has partnered up with him this season to assist in boiling and getting ready for the now short season. And his son just might be next in line to fill his shoes to carry on for the next generation.
Great stuff. And on that note, for all you sugar makers out there, April is maple tubing collection months at the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District. Although the sugaring season hasn't had its full effect due to the weather, Northeast Kingdom Waste Management will still collect tubes and will even extend the collection month into mid-May. Maple tubing collection is a 4-year-old program that covers towns all the way up to the Canadian border. Before the program, sugars used to dispose their tubes by just leaving them in the woods. The district only collects certain tubing materials that pass the float test, meaning if your piece of your tube floats, they'll collect it.
Right now, because it's such a young program, we're only doing it in April and then again in November. And we chose those months because typically that's when folks are in the woods repairing lines, either at the end of the sugaring season or preparing for the next season. So if it picks up over time, we probably would collect it year-round, but it takes up a lot.
And the Waste Management District asks that you call and make an appointment to dispose of your maple tubes, and you can also contact them to see if your tubing material is acceptable.
Living in northern New England means longer winters and delayed springs, but locals have had enough of the winter weather and are ready for warmer temperatures. The Cobley Public Library took some time away from the books to celebrate Aloha Winter Day. Workers and visitors were encouraged to dress in Hawaiian attire to take their mind off the winter blues. The library was decorated in leis, straw grass, bright colors, and filled with the sound of Hawaiian music. Librarian Cheryl McMahon thought of the idea and knew it was something she wanted to share with the community.
The cold weather was hanging on so long that we just got thinking, the heck with it. We just wanted to say aloha to winter and welcome spring, whether it was here or not. We thought if we started acting as if it were here, maybe it would come, and lo and behold, I think it kind of has.
Other businesses such as Sheer Sensations, Community National Bank, and White's Market all took part in the celebration as well. And now Amanda Curran joins us with a first look at our forecast. Aloha, Amanda. Now, I'm not asking for tropical temps, but please tell me we can keep it above 40 at least.
Aloha to you, Julie Ann, and I don't think anybody really wants tropical temperatures because that would completely ruin the rest of the sugaring season. Currently, though, we can see outside, we can see some clouds were moving over the area, but we got a nice little peek of sun today, this afternoon. But we are going to be looking at another weather system that could be bringing a lot of rain and potentially a little bit of snow. I'll let you know a little bit more about that later on in the show. But for tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies with 25 degrees, and for tomorrow, we'll warm up quite nicely to 45 degrees. We'll have some increasing clouds on the leading edge of our next system, and we will see a little bit of rain in the later afternoon hours. We'll jump right to your headlines for tonight. Will we be able to say bye-bye to winter, or will we say 50s on Monday? Spring, winter, there's a little battle between the two. All I know is that there's going to be a little bit of a washout for your weekend. I'll let you know the details a little bit later in the show. Back to you two at the desk.
All right, thank you, Amanda. There's more to come after the break.
That's right. Find out what hot button issue has two Vermont politicians in a very strong agreement.
And music was in the air in St. Johnsbury last night. Find out what brought musicians together at the St. Johnsbury School.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it! I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
Large brush fires around the area had several fire departments on call.
And 2 local school budgets are being voted on in the next couple of days. Find out what people need to know.
Plus, the World Maple Festival is now just days away, and that's sweet news for many. News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Cortland Hanley. Several local fire departments were called to a large brush fire today in Linden.
And I'm Jeremy Holden. That's right, the fire started just before 1 p.m. and began to spread quickly, approximately 3 miles away from the Lindbergh Motel, eventually growing near 10 acres in size. Sutton, East Burke, West Burke, Lindenville, Newark, Sheffield, Wheelock, Waterford, and all wildland crews were called to the scene near 48 Woodbury Lane in Linden. Hickox and Linden rescue ambulances were on scene with a paramedic for a firefighter who inhaled too much smoke. No homes were affected during the blaze, and the firefighter's condition is unknown. Cause of the fire is still under investigation.
And another large brush fire broke out behind Dahlberg Road in St. Johnsbury yesterday evening. The fire was so large that the flames could be seen from Danville. 911 calls came in from all over St. Johnsbury, which created confusion about the location. Neighbors who were first on the scene felt officials were slow to respond.
I called 911. They said that they'd gotten other reports. They said it was okay, and I said it's not okay. It's heading towards my neighbor's house. There's several acres fire, and they said, well, it's near the academy, right? And I said, no, it's not near the academy. It's up on Dahlberg Road.
Multiple fire departments were called to the blaze with over 20 responders on scene. Once responders arrived at about 5, they had a hard time reaching the flames because of the muddy road conditions. It didn't take long to control the fire, though, and flames were out before 8. And the St. Johnsbury School Board provided a presentation over the revised budget last night and gave residents a chance to voice their questions and concerns one last time before they hit the polls. The board said the only part of the budget that they could make cuts from was the pre-K through 8th grade budget and district expenses. A cut of $180,000 was made, which lowered the increase in the tax rate from 11 to 6.4%. Karen Willie says that she now supports the budget this time around, but many residents still don't because it's lacking exact numbers for contract negotiations.
I learned how hard that they were working and what they were, where the school was spending their money and where the shortfalls were. And so I changed my opinion after I learned what was going on.
But those are huge numbers. And again, I've said it repeatedly, finish the negotiations, put the money in the budget so we know what we're voting on, then we'll vote on it.
Voting will take place this Thursday at the Father Lively Center in St. Johnsbury from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Blue Mountain Union continues their budget troubles. They face a third vote on the already depleted budget tomorrow. With more cuts anticipated, Dan Weiner explains.
There is a third vote tomorrow in Rygate, Wells River, and Groton for Blue Mountain Union's budget. This time, the budget has been slashed to under $8 million, which is over a 3% decrease from where they started. The first budget proposed on town meeting day was $8.2 million. That budget failed. The second budget was $8.1 million, which was voted on 3 weeks ago, and that failed. Now, a budget that's $61 short of $8 million is going to taxpayers to vote on Wednesday. When we spoke to Principal Emily Nisley just before the second vote, we asked what kind of cuts were made and what would happen if it were to not pass, which it didn't.
We really work hard to make sure that the things we're asking for are things that we actually really do need. And if we have to go back to the drawing board, then we get to the point that it does affect programs, it does affect kids.
So what's being affected? This round of cuts includes special education teachers retiring and resigning, removing one full-time employee, removing a weekend custodian, and cutting nearly $7,000 from technology. According to one concerned parent, enough is enough.
I can definitely see both sides of the issue. As a taxpayer, I can definitely see why people might want their taxes to increase. But I can definitely see the good side of the school and how many things that go on here and the importance of passing the school budget and how important it is.
Last year, the school cut 7 full-time employees. This year, the school is trying to restore 3 of those positions. The polls are open Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Dan Weiner, News 7, Wells River.
Voting will take place in Rygate at the Town Hall, at the Village Garage in Wells River, and at the Groton Community Building in Groton. Officials think it caused the death of a New Hampshire man last week, jumping into icy, cold, rushing waters. And over the weekend, videos surged of college students doing just that in the Northeast Kingdom. Tyler Dumont takes a look at what officials are calling a risky situation.
And I'm all for a good time, but this is not one of those things that you want to try.
But people are trying it. It's a new trend running rampant on social media called the Polar Plunge 2014. Take a look. These are videos posted online by college students in the kingdom. Before jumping in, they first dare their friends, then they take the icy dip, and in some videos, they finish off by quickly drinking a beer.
It's not a matter of if somebody gets hurt, it's a matter of when people are going to get hurt.
And someone getting hurt in the raging waters is Chief Brown's biggest fear. It's a reality that has happened right here in the past, he says, that when people jump in, they just don't realize the risk they're taking.
I don't care if you're a good swimmer or what you are. When that cold water hits you, it's way different than turning a cold shower on or anything like that.
With high water levels, other dangers include debris and changing depths in fast-moving, icy rivers. But the threat of hypothermia didn't stop student Wendy Rodriguez. Tell me what the water felt like.
It felt like just a bunch of nails just poking at me.
Rodriguez took the plunge after she was nominated by her brother. Keeping her word, well, she took the dip in Lake Willoughby late last week. She posted the video online and then...
Actually, someone that I nominated jumped off a bridge into, I can't think of where it was exactly, but I was so surprised and kind of did make me nervous. But it was also an individual I know that's also takes risks and knows, he knows better, and he just did it anyway, so...
Knowing better, but still taking the jump, and that's what Brown is worried about.
We just want everybody to have fun, but we want everybody to go home too.
Tyler Dumont, News 7 in the Northeast Kingdom.
Rescue crews acknowledge that the risky behavior isn't exactly illegal and that there's really not a lot they can do. They do hope, however, that those who are considering to participate in the plunge take an extra second to think twice. And now Kurt Olson joins us with a first look at our forecast. Kurt, it was raining outside today, but at least the temperatures were warm.
But unfortunately, Jeremy, those warm temperatures won't last for much longer, as we have a cold front that's currently sitting off to our west that's going to move through during the overnight hours and actually bring some more seasonable-like temperatures. But like you said, the rain has moved in within the past 2 hours or so. You can see some of the more heavier rain starting in parts of western Vermont that'll make its way into our region come later tonight and during the overnight hours. Now, all this rain is associated with this low pressure system that's just up to our north, and that's where it's going to stay. It's just going to slide across parts of southern Canada. Now, this cold front is what we're worried about, as it's going to bring some colder temperatures, or should I say more seasonable like temperatures. So I wouldn't even think about doing the polar plunge over the next couple of days or so, because it looks like it's going to be very chilly with no chance of any of those waters warming up anytime soon. But current conditions, we're dealing with 57 degrees. That rain has started to settle in, and we have those winds out of the south at 3 miles per hour. Now tonight we'll drop down to 45 degrees. That rain will continue, and then for tomorrow we'll deal with some scattered showers. All that and more coming up in a bit. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kurt. Still to come on News 7 after the break.
New police checkpoints upcoming. Find out where and when you might find them.
And find out why the Joe's Pond Ice Out contest could be much longer than anticipated.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite. Unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. One book reading is gonna make helps to change a life.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
I don't know what's happening. Start a new chat. What did I do? Okay. Wow. It's so weird.
Hey! Hi!
Oh my gosh. Hi! God, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so nervous. Gia, you're so big. Come closer to the camera. Wait, now you're in my face. That was so good.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
We're down to the final days of the legislative session. Find out which bills are getting finished up and which ones are being left out.
And it's opening day for one local outdoor activity. We'll show you who's shifting into high gear.
Plus, find out how Vermont's agriculture has been faring in the past few years. You might be surprised by the answer.
News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism. This is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening. We start you tonight with some disturbing news. An autopsy shows that the death of a 15-month-old infant in Winooski last month has been confirmed a homicide.
Now, the chief medical examiner's office says that the cause of death was due to trauma to the head and neck. Police responded to a Winooski address on April 4th to reports of a boy that had stopped breathing. The child was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police are investigating, but so far, no arrests have been made.
The stun gun bill that passed the Senate on Monday now has House support. New regulations will require enhanced police training for the use of tasers and will require officers to wear body cameras, which will record all of their actions. Now, the bill comes nearly 2 years after a Thetford man died of heart failure. That was when he was struck in the chest by a state trooper's stun gun. It also sets up a statewide collection of racial data to be used for anti-bias training for police officers. The bill is expected to be signed into law by Governor Shumlin in the next few days.
Right now, there are 273 school districts in the state of Vermont, but a bill passed by the House last Wednesday would cut that number dramatically. Now Vermont's school consolidation bill is coming right down to the wire. News 7's Brad Hickox has more.
35 school districts rejected their proposed budgets on town meeting day, a number not seen in Vermont in several years. Now the rising cost of education has Montpelier thinking about big changes for the future of education in Vermont. Is it economically feasible for each town to support their own school? When I spoke with Linden School Board Chair Al Dilley March 6th, he envisioned what might happen if that were no longer the case.
Montpelier looks at it. If towns pass budgets, they look at things being pretty okay. But if it would send a clear message to Montpelier if towns did not approve their budgets.
Bill 883, which passed the House 76-60 last week, but which has now stalled in the Senate, would dissolve all existing supervisory unions in the state by the summer of 2020, bringing the total amount of school districts down to between 45 and 55 in just the next 6 years.
The problem is whether or not people are willing to consider a merger with another district and give up what they may feel is local control.
But the Senate seems likely to pass a version of the bill that would greatly limit its power, turning it into more of an option than a requirement.
The jury's still out on that in its future and even what gets passed or doesn't get passed in this year's legislature. But I think as a district, we have an obligation now to be proactive and start exploring our options.
Either way, it seems unlikely that anything will be passed before the end of the legislative session in just a few days. Brad Hickox, News 7 in the Northeast Kingdom.
At this point, it looks like the Senate and House are going to forego the bill and instead will look to gauge public interest across the state in what is such a major decision. Even still, it's something that the state is sure to address as more and more school budgets fail and as costs continue to rise.
There are a couple other issues that the House and Senate are trying to work out as we come to the end of the legislative session. The Vermont tax rate is one of them. It remains to be seen not if, but how much Vermonters' school property tax rate will increase as we move into what is very likely the final 2 days of the session. And the minimum wage bill that passed the Senate has hit its snag in the House. So it turns out that the House calendar apparently did not have the correct version of the Senate-passed version of the bill. The error in documents will likely postpone any further action until tomorrow, which is supposed to be the final day of the legislative session. There is some indication that the session could be extended to Sunday. Well, today is day 3 of the Vermont Music Festival in St. Johnsbury. Tonight is jazz band night with a jazz concert at Fuller Hall that is going to start at 7:30. The festival concludes tomorrow with the band and orchestra concert at 2 p.m., followed by the chorus concert at 4:30.
The Northeast Kingdom can now take a better look at the stars thanks to a nonprofit organization out of Peacham. The Northern Skies Observatory was built 3 years ago, but only recently became a large educational tool for more than 10 local schools. The structure, which looks over the Peacham Elementary School, may not be the largest telescope in the U.S., but it is the most high-tech. It gives students the ability to take photos and see images from over 10 billion light years away, even to the edge of the visible universe. The $300,000 it took to build the structure came from over 5 years of funding.
And really the kernel of it comes down to, if we don't expose our young people, our students, our children in this rural area to science and technology, they won't choose a science or technology major in college, and therefore we might not have the potential to have that as a career.
To find out more about the Northern Skies Observatory, you can visit their website at nkekaf.org or check them out on Facebook. And now Amanda Curran joins us with our first look at the forecast. Amanda, are we going to be able to see some clear skies tonight?
Julian, unfortunately, we won't be seeing too many stars at all. We are covered under a blanket of clouds associated with a warm front that actually brought a little bit of rain into our forecast. And that is actually going to be bringing us some warmer temperatures. So a little bit of a trade-off for you guys out there. Won't be able to see the stars tonight, but we will be bringing you 70s into your forecast for your weekend, which is going to be pretty pleasant out there for all of you guys. We'll take a look at your first forecast for tonight. We'll see 53 degrees. Those clouds are going to keep us pretty warm tonight. Going to be a nice night to sleep with your windows open. We're going to see a little bit of rain on the later half of the night into the early tomorrow morning. Now tomorrow we will see some showers early, mostly between the 8 and 10 a.m. hours. It's going to warm up quite quickly, 73 degrees, and there's a chance for some scattered showers later throughout the day, but there's a chance for us to see a little bit of sun throughout your afternoon, so not going to be a complete washout for your weekend on Saturday. Take a look at your headlines. We'll see those showers are going to move through in the overnight. Warmer temperatures will be coming into our area, and we will see some drier conditions for your Mother's Day on Sunday. I'll let you a little bit know about that later in the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, Amanda, thank you. And still to come on News 7 after the break.
This might surprise you. Find out where people have been finding used needles.
And how Vermont's brief maple season fared this year. That's coming up.
This is a hard question. How do I sum up 5 semesters of being down here?
I've learned a lot. It's been quite the ride, and I've learned a lot.
Take advantage of the experience here. Do as much as you can when you can, and when you can mess up, take chances.
Yeah, my time down at News 7's been pretty awesome. I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I actually feel like I'm one of the electronic journalism art students.
The people down here have been great, you know, like everyone's gotten along real well, and
It was fun because I got to get my hands in everything. I got to report, anchor, produce, and now I do the production side of the house, and I feel very well-rounded from my experience here.
I mean, News 7 in Linden actually changed my life, so all for the better actually.
Everything has just been new, and it's been fun to work with a good group of people, a good group of faculty, and it's gone well.
It's been a roller coaster. There's not a lot of female photographers out here, so the time that I've had has been a lot of learning experience and being one of the guys, but it's been a lot of fun.
It was good.